What will we cover today? As always, I'm going to try and make this next hour as full packed of all the knowledge that I have. We are going to go into these three areas. First, I want us to begin to dissect industries. I want us to begin to understand how to dissect companies. We're then going to look at competencies really within my own way of structuring competencies and getting you to understand how do I begin to map my own transferability. And then really looking at, what is it that drives you right now? So we will run a free monthly event every last Friday of every month. Next month, 31st, I'm really going to look at how do I break the career ceiling? How do I go beyond that career plateau? How do I get to start climbing the corporate, get more leadership, get more responsibility, and as a ignite your passion for your career? So that's an interesting one for next month. The month after that, we are doing how do I come back from a career break or career change? A lot of our topics are guided by what you guys are requesting. So please feel free. If there's any topics you would like us to add in our monthly events, feel free. Let's look at navigating industry and company search. So let's look at industries specifically. When it comes to industries, I think there's a lot of confusion in how people sometimes categorize industries. Historically, we have a lot of traditional industries which are much more established, slower in pace, less innovation, more monopolized. Traditional industries really are things like agriculture, construction, fast-moving consumer goods. We then have fast-paced industries, industries where we have constant innovation, constant growth, development, new things happening, both IT, telco, e-commerce, fintech. There's lots of new fast-paced industries, but what we also have is new industries. So when we are looking at new industries, essentially technology starts to embed each one of these technologies. So let me make an example. Let's say I am a businesswoman operating over the last 20 years and I am selling handbags. 20 years ago, to run a shop retail outlet, I need a shop with all of my stock. What kind of people do I need to hire? I need to hire people who are good with customers, good at selling, reliable, front-facing, can do good stock takes, etc. If I am still that same businesswoman and operating in today, I am likely to potentially be on an e-commerce platform. I'm still selling the same handbags. I'm still the same business person, offering the same product, handbags in this case, but this time I'm doing it on an e-commerce platform. What kind of people do I need to hire? I need to hire good photographers, good social media marketing individuals. So we need to understand that new technologies are creating, or technology is embedding itself and creating completely new sets of industries. So we need to be careful because within traditional industries, we also have new industries. So we are going through this fourth industrial evolution and growth. Another thing that we do in in industries is sometimes kind of bulk them. So for example, if we say FMCG, fast moving consumer goods, truth be told, there is no industry called FMCG. There are subcategories within those industries that are food and beverage, consumer electronics, consumer goods. The same for financial services industry. Again, is a very big sort of industry bracket, which within itself has very large industries. Banking, fintech, which is still financial solutions, but within the money exchange, investment, insurance, and each one of these industries. And when we are looking at industries, I want you to start getting into the habit of looking at industries in a kind of a bird's eye point of view, really high up so that you begin to look at the industry in a very simplified, very streamlined, just you begin to look at the core blocks. We have large industries. So for example, if we say the medical industry, under the medical industry, we have retail, which are the hospitals, GPs, anywhere where we go and get medical help. There is in the medical industry, those that are manufacturing medical equipment. The pharmaceutical industry still sits within the medical industry. And the pharma is its own potential industry. Research and development, academia and education. If we look at agriculture, for example, again, a very large industry. You can have horticulture, livestock, manufacturing equipment, food manufacturing, retailing, research and development, academia. So this is what I'm saying is when we are looking at our industries, we need to be very clever in the way we do it. So if we are choosing, oh, I am in manufacturing. Well, manufacturing essentially is not an industry. What are you manufacturing? Because if you are manufacturing, I don't know, laptops versus food, it's very different types of processes, structures, and everything else that is needed. So for example, let's look at pharma. Let's look at it from a bird's eye point of view. We have those that create the research, the development, they invent the medications, they do all of the testing, everything else. So we have the one area of pharma is that. Second is the manufacturing, those that actually are making the pills, actually creating these medications. And then you have those that retail the medications. This could be pharmacies, it could be in hospitals, pharmacies, anywhere where we can actually access the medication. And then around pharma, we have a huge amount of compliance, governance. You can't just put any medicine on the shelf. It has to go through very rigorous processes, etc. Some companies will be managing end to end of this. And it's very unlikely that all, like, for example, if I look at, let me stick here. So let's look at GSK, for example. GSK may be doing all of the research and development. They also may be doing a lot of the manufacturing, but they may not necessarily do the retail out. So this is where their sales. So when I'm looking at a big GSK and I'm looking at sales, it's very unlikely I'm going to be doing B2C sales. I'm likely to be doing B2B sales. And that's how I want you to start looking at different industries. Let's look at the telecommunication, again, in a very big bird's eye point of view. You have the providers, whether this is fiber, whether it's, I don't know, satellite, whether it's Elon Musk's new ship, whatever, whether it's, I don't know, some glider up the top, whatever it is, we have the providers. Then we have the people that actually manufacture the hardware, which is essentially the phones. And then we have those that sell us, retail telco to us. So Safaricom may actually own some of they are provider, but they are also a retailer. But we can go to many companies. Are we retailing B2B? Are we retailing B2C? So it's very important that when we are looking at our industries, like if we look at, for example, manufacturing, as I said earlier, it's not just even logistics. If I look at logistics from a big eye, bird's of view, what are you doing? You are moving people or goods, either via air, land, or sea. You are either the people that do the carrying of the people. So you are airports, you are ports, you are post offices, you are where the retail collects, whatever it may be. You have the people that own the planes, can do the actual carrying. You have those that do the storing, the warehousing. You have variety, and some companies will own end to end of that. Some companies will sit in one area. Let's look at NGOs, again, in a bird's eye point of view. You have the money, the donors, the philanthropists, those that have the money. And not all NGOs are funded. Some of them are funded by government, some of them are funded by philanthropists. But either way, you have first the pot of money. Then you have your either local or regional people that implement. If it is, I don't know, emergency supplies, they're giving medical water, maybe they are giving them water. This is where you are looking at companies like, is it Mercy Corps? They're a big in implementing. And then you have a lot of bodies, like people that do a lot of, when I say bodies, associations, I mean, they are usually getting the research information. Bodies and association, it could be, I don't know, in the tropical whatever forest, it could be food and nutrition, it can be human rights, it can be a variety of these different bodies and associations. And again, with NGOs, we need to be very careful because they also go via industries. How do we begin to categorize it? And that's what I want you to begin to understand, that when you are looking at your industry, you need to be smart in the way you are looking at it. Now, when we look at across all of Africa, and we look at Kenya specifically, there are, I would say, these 6 areas are really, really well developed. 4 of these areas are very well developed across all of Africa. First one that is very, very well developed across all of Africa is what I call the natural resources, the extraction of resources. Yes, it's monopolized, but the extraction of resources, there are some very big companies out there, whether they are taking natural resources, gas or extraction, oil, solar energy, is very well developed. Whether we are pulling out something from the ground or whatever, but natural resources. Another big area is the financial and banking industry. It's so diversified. I mean, in Kenya, we have over 45 to 50 different banks, unheard of. I mean, in the UK, you have 5 banks and you're done. None have entered. And it is literally impossible. So the financial and banking, it doesn't matter. Even if you go to a war-torn African country, you will find a bank open somewhere. So the banking and the financial, very well developed. IT and telco, again, is very, very well developed across all of Africa. And FMCG. All of your conglomerates in fast-moving consumer goods, your Coca-Cola, your Nestle, all of your food and beverage, consumer goods, consumer electronics, you will find them very, very, very well developed across all of Africa. In Kenya specifically, you have the tourism and the hospitality, very, very large industries. And then, of course, construction, again, is across all of Africa. If we also look at what are the typical employers that we get in Kenya and in Africa, actually the biggest employers across all of Africa are your SMEs, SMBs, locally owned companies. They really are the biggest employers. They go down, they get acquired, they rebrand, they grow, but you really do have, that's the biggest employers. And this is where you tend to find a lot of nepotism. Salaries may potentially be low, all sorts of different things. We also have lots of multinationals, but with multinationals, what we have to be very careful about is that, you see, I can use like any company. So with multinationals, you need to understand their operation back in their HQ is likely to be very large, whereas their operations across Africa or Kenya may not be as large. So you may not get as many opportunities, or you may not have, in larger companies, the structures are there, the processes are there. You are more executing and implementing rather than being more strategic. So we mustn't be blind by big brand names, because we may not necessarily have the creativity, the opportunity to do that, create the strategy, design the strategy, do the strategic elements. We have lots of startups, and I'm not saying startups are bad, but why join somebody else's startup if you cannot create your own startup? The only thing with startups is that don't let things be discussed just on a word area, get things in writing. But what startups can do is give you big potential growth or career shifts. By going into a slightly smaller startup, you can bring so many more valued competencies and experiences that you can shift industries. And then, of course, NGOs, capital NGO is Kenya. When looking at companies, I want you to, of course, when we are looking at company vital statistics, we want to know the company structure, what industry, but really, where's their HQ? If their HQ is in Germany, that company's culture will have some German elements. If that company is Chinese, its culture will have some of the Chinese culture within it. So understand, first of all, where is the HQ, but also the operating locations. You know, we end up, for example, as a finance, we end up writing to lots of companies, but finance is a centralized function in many, and they may not have it in that local country. So really research the operation locations. Where do people like you live in that company? Which location? Are they spread all over, or are they based? How many like you are in this current? They may not even have your function in your current location. So understanding a company's HQ and where they are actually based is part of critical research for you to be able to map out and plan some of your career, sort of changing your career. Now, size is one of the most important things that most people don't fully take into consideration. The size of the company can completely change your job title, and what you do can completely change by the size of the company. Now, I'm going to come back to a size 10 people, 100 employees to 100,000 employees. But before I do that, let me just categorize all companies will have these three areas. The first area is what I call global functions, support functions, operational functions. They help the company operate. They may bring good cost savings, but they do not bring any revenue. They only help the company operate. HR, finance, legal, procurement, facilities. I put marketing in as an asterisk because marketing can sometimes sit right here. So if you are in a job that is predominantly only helping me operate, your salaries are not likely to go as high. It's very different. Now, all businesses will have the management and where the money flows, the revenue grows. And this is where real decision makers, wherever you sit in the organization, if you are part contributing to that company's revenue growth or sales, your salary is likely to be higher, you are more likely to be more on commission, etc. And then what you also have, each company will have its own specialization. So let's say I am in construction, then here will be my builders, electrician, plumbers, etc. Let's say I am a system integrator or an IT company. This will be my developers, my technical architects, my cybersecurity specialists. Let's say I run a logistics company. This will be my drivers. This will be my operators that help me book. It's basically whatever that company is delivering. Now, here's where size plays a really, really big role. Imagine I run a company with 10 people and I just look at the global functions. Do I need a permanent HR person? No. A permanent finance person? No. A permanent procurement or legal or facilities? No. I only have a team of 10 people. So now imagine I have 100 employees. Now, do I need HR? Yes. The HR department will be maybe the head of HR with a couple of assistants, but that head of HR, or let's say finance. Yes, I'm going to have a finance, one head of finance, and then maybe one or two assistants. Now, what are they likely to do? Under the umbrella of HR, you have compensation and benefit, disciplinaries, you have learning and development, you have recruitment, you have all sorts of different pillars. Now, that HR person is likely to do end-to-end of that. The same for finance. They are likely to do end-to-end of everything, meaning we are doing the accounts payable, accounts receivable, but we are also doing treasury, growth, and development. Whereas if I have a company that has 10,000 or 100,000 employees, now under the umbrella of HR, each pillar becomes its own department. Meaning, the larger the company, the more specialist you are. The smaller the company, the more generalist you are. The smaller the company, the more hats you are likely to wear. The larger the company, the more narrow and the more specialist you are. So if your career is working predominantly in very large organizations, you are looking after one particular part. Whereas when you are going into slightly smaller organizations, your experience and that generalistic. So for example, let's say, I don't know, Google is hiring head of legal in UK. Their operation in UK is very large. And now let's say they want to hire head of legal in Kenya. The chances are it's going to be a regional role for large companies. So you are going to have head of East Africa, potentially. Now, for Google Legal UK, because the operation is so large, I'm going to go for cloud specialists, application specialists, etc. Whereas when I'm looking at East Africa region for the same company, they are likely to cover multiple regions, multiple functions. So for the same company, same type of job title, if you are in the HQ versus if you are in Africa, which is not as much of a developed for them, your role will change slightly. So the size of the company makes a huge amount of difference. So you need to go beyond the job title. Actually, this is one thing I would like to offer you all that have registered. We can show you how to do some basic, how to actually search. LinkedIn is such a powerful tool. Such a powerful tool. You can search for people, companies, anywhere in the world. And I don't know why most people don't utilize it for these. You can just sign up on our sign up form. Give us 24 hours. We will give you 2 access for you to know everything on how to research on LinkedIn. Now, let's move on to dissecting your current competencies and identifying your transferable skills. As I said at the beginning, I'm going to keep this very different. You see, I always say you are not your job title, you are not your industry, you are a set of competencies. Having said that, when I look at, you see, anyone looking to change careers, I'm assuming you are not in the first 2 years, you've just started your career. That's not changing, that's exploring your career path. Whereas, when you are looking potentially to shift careers, you should have a minimum of 7 to 10 years in a role. And therefore, you already have gained some experience. And therefore, you are now looking to change careers, transfer potentially your skills. So I'm going to use myself as an example. Now, I am a recruitment manager, recruitment director, 20 years of experience, 70 countries, 18,000 interviews, over 1,000 plus hires. I believe most of us, if again we start to look at our competencies from a bird's eye point of view, and we begin to really simplify our core pillars, we then are not looking at irrelevant information where we are beginning to self-eliminate. Do I fit in? Do I not? I don't. Do I not? Essentially this. With my 20 years of experience, my first pillar is I can manage people. I have managed people, whether they are direct, indirect, stakeholders, etc. The one thing, even say tomorrow I want to move to a marketing manager. But let's look at my core current pillars. 1 is I can manage people. 2, I'm very good at my line of business, which is recruitment and headhunting. 3, recruitment operations. 4, I usually have industry, region, or some kind of specialism. Now, let's say I want to go into marketing. I'm still taking my people management. I'm still taking some part of my operations, even though it's recruitment. And if I'm going into marketing, I'm going to try and align as many other areas as I possibly can. Let's say we are now going to look at a sales manager, someone who has 12 years experience, 10 countries across East Africa, around $1 million a yearly target, cybersecurity specialist. First, they are managers, director, meaning I can manage people. If the sales manager tomorrow goes ahead and says, I want to now become a partnership manager, or I want to go into marketing, or I want to become head of operations, whatever it may be, we know that this person has already proven that they can manage people. So we have the people management. And we have the sales operation. Operations have usually similar categories. And as a manager, your operations will cover, and I'll go into a little bit more detail. Then this person has the business, the revenue part, why they're sales. So everything to do, whether it is new product development, whatever it may be, but it's all about revenue, money, because that's what they're coming in as sales. Also, almost all salespeople, in my case, industry product specialism, but in sales, you need to have product mastery. If you are going to be telling me, I am a cybersecurity specialist, I would expect you to have deep knowledge of all the different products in cybersecurity. What are the typical threats? I don't need you to be a technical person, but I need you to be an expert in your field. So let's say you are not cybersecurity, but you want to sell me, I don't know, let's say luxurious motor cars. I still need you to have good knowledge of cars, basic product mastery. You know, how are you going to be able to sell anything to someone if you don't have that product mastery? Now, when we look at each 4 of these branches, and let's look at mine, under people management, we can begin to break it down. And it doesn't matter if today I am managing recruitment and resources, and tomorrow I want to manage, I don't know, operations, or I manage, etc. The idea is to find that transferability. So under people management, you have direct reports and indirect reports. You have internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. So direct reports that I have managed are resources, recruiters, administrators. Indirect reports, people that I have actively collaborated with, marketing who've created content for me, finance who've created budgets, procurement, IT. My internal stakeholders, not just my recruitment managers, HR team, my own hiring managers. My external stakeholders will be other recruitment agencies, background check agents, etc. When it comes to recruitment operations, or anybody's operation, it's operational excellence. Operational excellence is anything to do with processes, procedures. How do I make sure that, in my case, how do I make sure that job posting processes are in place, interview toolkits are in place, the onboarding is in place, creating from taking the requisition all the way to closing. In my case, when it comes to regulatory, I need to be aware of local country employment laws, type of contracts, type of benefits, type of laws. This is under my recruitment operations. But let's say I am in finance, I will still have regulatory elements, compliance, governance, whether it's VAT, whether it's tax, whatever it may be, there is always that pillar within all of us. And then, of course, there's a financial aspect. In my cases, market, cost of recruitment, salary negotiation, market research, anything that covers the operational side of recruitment. And then technology. Technology is not just about, Internet of Things. I know how to use social media, collaborative platforms, Dropbox, etc. Microsoft Office. Put the Internet of Things aside. Each one of us in our specialization has specific technology knowledge that is specific to our industry. In my case, I'm familiar with the world's largest human capital management applications, Taleo, Workday, SuccessFactors. I'm very familiar with back office database searching, how a database is set up, very familiar with specific testing tools. If you are in finance, is it Sage? Is it Oracle? Is it, I don't know, what ERP are you familiar? If you are in business intelligence, what BIs are you using? What tools? Each one of us in our line of business has tools of technology. And then, of course, my main line of business, recruitment, which is everything from recruitment strategy, sourcing strategy, market analysis, job analysis, to interviewing, everything to do with the selection and interviewing, negotiating, background check, onboarding, candidate experience. This is something that I bring on board. I may be able to look at areas of these skills that are transferable. So, for example, let's say I'm working as a branch manager in a bank. Look at it from a bird's eye point of view. It's a building. People come in, they get served, they leave. What other contexts where people are coming in, they're getting served and leave? And I'm moving to the next one before. So another area is industry. So where am I focused? Africa is Africa. I focus cross industries. I like new industries. Why new industries? As a skills shortage. I focus on any C-level, anything, CIO, CMO, CFO, CTO, CIO, any C-level. Complex, the more difficult, the more complex, high level of specialization. And everything I do is streamlined, client-focused, tailor-made. We will succeed. So these are my pillars. And this is what, you see, we get bogged down in just thinking of our competencies. Core competencies are many. Here are some: communication, presentation, influencing, negotiating, teamwork, results, personal drive, problem solving, adapting to change, strategic thinking, project management. You see, some of us may have stronger skills than others. So you see, how do you convince someone that you can move from one area of competency or one type of job to another? This is where we need to start identifying some of those gaps. Communication skills, we all have it. Some jobs may need communication skills more. So if I'm looking at sales, my top 5 of here will be influencing, negotiating, building relationships, personal drive. I'd be really looking at managing performance, maybe. Let's say I'm looking at an operational person. I'm looking at planning and organization, managing performance, strong project management, organizational awareness. This is why I want us to begin to look at our sense of competencies slightly different than the way we have been kind of taught to do. Let me check. Perfect. Now, rebranding and repackaging your experience. I do appreciate I'm moving really fast. Feel free to ask questions, please, in the menu. I talk about all of these things, 7.5 hours where I really go into detail. I just want to make sure that I finish on time and give at least 10 minutes to answering questions. So, rebranding and repackaging your experience. You see, let's take me as an example. When I, Natalia, left Oracle, and I, Natalia, founded Just Work, I did not change, but my pillars did. How I position myself has changed. I didn't change. So the importance of rebranding and repackaging is about positioning yourself. Now, it's very interesting, anyone that is looking to consider career change. Why would you consider? Why would you want? If you have 7 to 10 years experience and you've said, I now want to change careers, I sometimes wonder, do you really need to change your career? Let's evaluate. Does your career fit you? Let's ask yourself this question. Do I like what I do? Do I like who I do it for? Do I like with whom? Not always 100%. People are people. Do I like how I do my job? Sometimes we can like what we do, but we may not like how we do it. no one does a job that they dislike. Chances are it's not that you dislike what you do. You may not find fulfillment in how you are doing it. This is a very important one. You see, let's say I want to work for Microsoft and Amazon. If I go for Microsoft, in their recruitment department, they use recruitment agencies to do all of the recruitment. Whereas if I go to Amazon, which is all direct recruitment, I love headhunting. I, Natalia, love headhunting. So I could never go and work for a company that tells me you now have to use a recruitment agency. I'm still the same job title, same function. So what you do is great, but the how you do it changes for the company that you work for. So that's the important part for you to start evaluating. What is it that we are looking to change? Because if we've done something for 7 to 10 years, we like what we do. So is it for who and how we are doing it? You see, you are constantly evolving. Your career is constantly evolving. What you needed 5 years ago in your career, what you need today, and what you will need in 5 years is constantly moving and evolving. The world of work is shifting and changing. Your skills have to evolve with it. So you are not, you cannot go from I'm going to be a bricklayer to now I'm going to go to be a brain surgeon. That has a really big path. How big is the shift that we are doing is important. But know that your career and you, that sense of I want to change industries, I want to change careers, we need to dig deeper, because every time we don't feel challenged in our career, depending where we are is also what is driving. It's also important to understand where you are in your career and what does a successful career look like to you right now. Is it more money? Is it more impact in the work you are doing? Do you want to have more international exposure? Do you want to learn more? Is it that you are now what is it that defines a successful career for you? Before you even start saying, I want to shift and change, we need to really begin to understand what are our drivers. What is it that we are lacking? I'm going to give you an exercise. I'm going to give you a magic wand. I want you to imagine you have a perfect magic wand in your hand and you can magic any job. Don't focus on the job title. Focus on what is it that you are doing. What is it that you are feeling, accomplishing, achieving? What are the most important qualities? Maybe your boss, like I, Natalia, for example, if I am to consider a new opportunity, my boss will be a huge deciding factor. I do want a boss that is not going to be afraid of how I speak my mind freely. So for me, is to have a strong boss that is not intimidated by smart ideas. I want to have an environment. I'm giving you a magic wand. Try and visualize what is it that you really are lacking? What is it that you don't have that you are imagining to have? Ultimately, what you have to understand is that all you do is sell your time. From Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 or 6 p.m., all you do is sell your time. And it's pure economics. If I look at all of the workforce in Kenya right now, how many accountants are there? Many. There's a high supply of accountants. There isn't necessarily a high demand. So even when you are looking to change your career, try not to go into a pool where we can find hundreds of that type of skill. Don't just move career because that's where you are being driven, but understand, is this actually a competitive enough industry for me? Where is that industry going in the future? But you need to understand that all you do is sell your time, and all of your IP, your knowledge, is your value add. It is not your skills, but what your skills do. If you are able to really understand your value add, not what you do, but the impact of what you do. But essentially, you are a product. You are a service. We hire you per hour. And if we are in a pool, and you are in a pool in Kenya, how many, let's say you are in a pie chart, how many HR, finance, legal, how many data analysts do we have? How many specialists do we have? Much smaller. So understand that you are a product. All you do is sell your time. Understand you are in an economic setting. Demand and supply has an impact on your price elasticity. Your value add, you may be able to bring local market knowledge. You may be able to bring your network and connections. Maybe you are able to bring really specialized, relevant experience. But you see, if you are a hand cream, when we are positioning ourselves, especially if we are looking to move, when we are positioning ourselves, imagine you are hand cream. What we do is we read the ingredients. We must stop that. What does the hand cream do? You must understand how to translate what it is that your skills actually do. Don't read your ingredients. Tell me, what is your value add? What impact? What value? Is it growth? What is it? When we are looking at career changes, let me tell you one thing. The biggest changes truly happen within your current organization. You see, if you have not proven yourself, when I am any company making a hire, they are looking to eliminate, they really are looking to eliminate the risk. So some individuals think, I'm just going to go and get a certificate. I'm just going to go and get an MBA. I'm just going to go and study something, and then I can go into that role. You need to think that you're actually the biggest career major shifts that I have seen have happened with somebody already inside their company. Why? They know you. They know how you work. They know if you are a risk. They know your weaknesses, everything else. So let's say I'm in recruitment. What are my core competencies? I'm selling new opportunities, influencing, persuading, managing, selling something to you. So I can potentially move into selling HCM systems. So yes, I've moved to sales, but I'm aligning it still to the knowledge that I have in HR or in recruitment. Where possible, try and make that shift in your current organization. Potentially even go to a slightly smaller startup. But before you even change your career, you see, a lot of us make assumptions. We look at somebody else, they've really grown there. Maybe I should have gone into the fintech. Wow, have you seen so-and-so? They've now become head of, how did they blah, blah. A lot of your career change or any career strategies have to be based with research. Look at similar industries, your current industry, try to look at it. Where else is it replicable? What are company sizes? What are the similar other company sizes? The job title is so important. Research and evaluate current job titles. Review profiles that look like what you want to be doing. Begin to review again, I don't know what context. That's why I would love you guys to ask the question of if you are making some of those changes. All right, so researching and evaluating of the type of profiles. LinkedIn is fantastic to do this. You see, you need to understand that each job title can have so many different variations. Sometimes you see job titles have certain level of experiences, people, operations, your specific area of industry. And then this is where you begin to identify, where are my gaps? What experience do I potentially have that I can utilize to demonstrate that in different contexts, I have still done that. You see, as I said, your core pillars, once you've got that 10 plus years and you go into a management role, how you manage people, how you motivate people, how you create operational excellence, any industry knowledge. Some of this may be your gaps. Maybe you haven't managed enough people. Then you are looking to go more into a leadership role. That's for next month. Maybe you haven't done more of the operational side and you've been very specific. Maybe you've got such industry specialism and not enough people management. It's about identifying, where are my gaps? Is it the industry that I'm lacking? Do I need more license? Some jobs, you need certifications to be able to operate within it. Like, you can't sign finance documents off if you don't have ACCA or CPA, LLM, LLB for legal, for HR, IHRM may be very important.